everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in. JJ, I got a story to tell you.
Okay.
Last Saturday, I was running all over the place trying to get a bunch of stuff done. You know how you have certain days where you just don't really feel like you're in the groove?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was my Saturday. And I'm also real mad because bird food prices are through the roof, right? So, well, I know they don't make any sense together, but I'm going to tell you the story. So Saturday, I was on a mission to get all of my errands done. And one of the places that I went to was the Tractor Farm and Supply, searching for some really cool suet. They have the best suet, in case anyone wonders. And I was wearing a hat, and I had a braid underneath my hat. So my hair was sticking out in chunks. I looked ridiculous, didn't care. But I just felt off too. I know I looked a little nuts and I felt off. So I ran in there and I got the suet. And a really nice man helped me. And I started thinking, you know what, maybe I can turn this day around a little bit. And I got up to the counter to pay. And there was another really nice man working at the counter. And he said, here, okay, well, your total is whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And he said, well, you have to put your credit card in the thing. I was like, oh, whoops, I forgot.
That's how out of it you were?
Yeah. And then he said, and then I stood there and it's going dee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee, like, take it out now.
Yeah,
and I was still standing there and he said, well, you go ahead and take your card when you're ready. And I went, oh my gosh. I said, I am such a hot mess today. And do you know what he said? He said, surely, ma'am, there's nothing about you that is a hot mess.
Wow.
And the way he said it was so kind.
Yeah.
And it was
nice.
It was such a nice compliment. It literally shifted my mood. I walked out thinking about what he said and feeling better. So I think
with just that one simple comment.
Yeah, just a nice compliment, right? It's like compliments can change your world in a New York second.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about that.
Yeah. So, I agree. The thing, well, for you, that compliment had a big effect on your mood, right? Changed your day.
It did. Yeah, it did.
I also wonder what it did for him.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, he
probably changed his day too.
There I was looking with my crazy hat on. And he was so kind. There was a kindness behind his compliment. And I know I'm sounding like I'm making it a bigger deal than it was, but it truly did change how I was feeling. I was feeling really strung out, and I had been for like an hour. Like I just couldn't figure out how to, get in my center. And I spent a lot of time working on that and being in that space. So when I'm not, I really, really notice. And there was just something about how he approached me that allowed me to stop worrying about the dumb stuff.
So let's think about two sides of the compliment.
Yeah.
The receiving side.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the giving compliments.
Oh yeah, that's a good one
side.
too. That's a good one too.
So like receiving compliments, right? Right. It changes your mood. Have you ever had a compliment that like didn't land so well with you?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's also so even if it's a well-intended compliment, you mean, or do you mean like what you would call a backhanded compliment, which is not a good compliment?
A little bit like, my experience as a receiver of compliments, because I don't receive compliments very well.
I know. It's your introversion. We're working on it.
Right. So that's why I ask, is that like you are very open to that compliment.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of like me, like I am not very open to compliments for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this lady that worked for me back when we were working in the office.
Yeah.
I've probably told you this story 100 times, is that uh, every time I got a haircut,
Yeah.
she would compliment my haircut.
You do have good hair.
And every time she'd do it, I would just like look at my shoes and like scurry away.
That's such a funny word.
one day she pulled me aside and said, "Hey, JJ, when someone gives you a compliment, all you need to do is say thank you and keep moving." And I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Okay.
That's
And I bet you
true.
didn't say thank you. I bet you just said okay, or didn't say
Okay.
anything and just went, yeah. Yeah.
Like, so it was such a funny scenario because she has to pull the CEO of the company aside and teach him how to take a compliment.
Yeah. I think,
It's a funny, there's a funny conversation, but it's hard for me to take a compliment. Like, I don't like it for some reason.
well, but I think there's a number of reasons that people feel self-conscious when given a compliment. A lot of times we are conditioned from the time we're young to feel bad about ourselves or to always feel guilty about ourselves in some way. And a compliment flies in the face of that, right? I mean, it does. It's like, I don't feel bad about you. I think this part is really nice. And it's often given so purely, and I think that just throws us for a loop. It's like, what? Wait a minute,
Yeah.
there has to be a string. Where's the string? Let me just find the string.
Yeah, and that goes to like the kind of backhanded compliment thing. We're like kind of on the lookout for that, right? We're on like a little bit of high alert. Like, is this an authentic compliment?
Yeah.
Or is there a little
Agenda.
bit of undertone or agenda to it?
Well,
Why do you think that is?
yeah. I honestly think it has a lot to do with our level of extroversion and introversion, which we talk about a lot, but I also think it has to do with self-esteem.
Mm.
A lot of times we tell ourselves we don't deserve to get that. We don't deserve for people to give us compliments. We don't deserve to experience the grace of what we offer. We do tell ourselves all the time that we deserve to get the short end of the stick. We deserve anything that's not favorable that comes our way because of what we are or what we've done.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people have a really hard time with the other end of that stick,
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've got a lot, if you have a lot of negative self-talk happening, taking a compliment, which would be the opposite of that negative soundtrack, is hard.
Yeah.
Like it's it's contradicting the story you've been telling yourself.
Right. That's
so
right.
you kind of resist it.
Right. That's right. And again, thank God this podcast is called the Self-Awareness Journey. Because there is something in self-awareness here too to pay attention to. It's what's your filter? Is your filter clean on what comes in? Like when you hear things, do you accept them readily or do you put up a block depending on what they are and what they're for?
Yeah.
You started talking about, you mentioned a couple of times, and I think I did too, the phrase backhanded compliment, which is nothing like an honest compliment. Backhanded compliment would just, in case there's anybody wondering why we're using that phrase.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. But a backhanded compliment when somebody has a bit of an agenda and they're trying to get a point across, and so they hide it under something that seems nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Or they're trying to kind of bring you negative energy, or put themselves in a better light.
Yeah, and we can talk about that on the giving side, but I think in the receiving of a compliment, that is one of the filters that instantly goes through. Is like, is that person sincere? Does that person have an agenda?
Yeah.
Right. We do that.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what. Saturday when I was so off, and he said that to me, there was such a purity in his whole nature. He was just like that I'm going to use the phrase old-fashioned, gentlemanly, almost like the like the 1950s movie style of a man being polite to a woman with no agenda. He wasn't trying to flirt. He wasn't trying to be inappropriate. He was genuinely saying something kind because he wanted to.
Yeah.
And I could feel the purity of that. And I would have wasted that had I been, oh, he doesn't really mean it. I know he's not right. He doesn't
Mm.
know me, you know? I could have
Yeah.
easily dismissed that and really missed the gift that was in that compliment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
So,
people should pay attention to that piece.
yeah. Let me ask you, like, so back to that moment for you,
hmm
um, like physically, right after he gave you that
Yep.
compliment and you started walking out the door, physically, how did you feel? Did you
Totally felt it
check,
instantly. hmm
like, where,
Yeah.
how?
It was in my chest. My whole chest felt expanded.
Mm,
I felt kind of gritty before that. You know, like I was
mm-hmm.
tight across my shoulders. I was walking
Like
fast.
hunched
Yeah,
over a
I
little.
was pushing a cart because I buy ridiculous amounts of suet. Oh God. And birdseed.
You're
Um,
running a nature preserve over
I
there.
totally am.
So,
And I could hardly push the cart. It was that full. But there
mm,
I was, head down and, you know, I'm going to get this done. And then I'm going to go do these
yep.
86 things. And I was so in my head, everything felt tight and it just felt gritty. Like that's the word I would use. And the minute he said that, I just felt like everything release. It was just like this
Yeah.
release. And I just felt this expansiveness. And I mean, I can't overstate that enough because all of those things were just microsecond experiences,
Mm-hmm.
right? That made such a big impact on me.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it this whole week, actually.
Yeah. Huh. Um, I like that the self-awareness guru
Mm.
here, Melissa,
Guru.
was just
Oh,
such
God.
a mess this weekend.
Well, and I'm real mad because I had this cute hat. It was a fedora, okay? It was a fedora with a little loose braid. Like when I see pictures of women doing that, it looks so cute. And then I put it on and I was like, oh, good
You look like a
Lord.
crazy bird lady.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that every time my son sees it, he just goes, starts laughing. It's like, oh, rats.
So if we stay really mindful here of how it feels to receive a compliment,
Uh-huh.
let's flip over to like how it
Ooh,
feels to give a compliment.
so good. And the connection between the two is our human condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's really good.
So yeah, like giving compliments feels good
Do you give
too.
compliments?
I'm pretty sure I was looking for this before we hopped on today.
Yeah.
Uh, we did an episode specifically about how bad I am at giving compliments. I think it was about recognition, right? So
Oh.
I think we're talking about like recognizing
Oh.
employees, kind of like in
Oh,
a
yeah,
work
yeah.
context.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay.
But you know, recognizing employees and giving compliments is a fairly
Yeah.
close, similar activity.
Mhm.
Um, but no, like I'm not very good about giving compliments,
That's because you're not good at receiving them.
right?
See, I think there's a
Which doesn't
direct
doesn't
link.
make that right. I shouldn't,
Well, you're
just
judging. I'm not judging. There's no judgment. Stop judging. We're trying to
okay.
teach
But
listeners not to judge. You can't do it.
can't. Yeah. I
Uh,
I was thinking about why I don't. Well, again, like you said, it's because I don't really like receiving them, so I don't
yeah.
naturally think about giving them.
Mm.
But sometimes giving compliments is a little scary.
Hmm.
To me, it gets close to like we
Yeah.
had the episode where we talked about how hard it is to say I love you.
Yeah.
Well, giving a compliment's just like a baby version of
Oh, so it's an
saying I
intimacy
love
thing.
you.
You're saying it's an intimacy thing.
In some ways, I think it might be.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and sometimes like I want compliments to be genuine,
hmm
but since everybody's like filter is always going like, is this a backhanded compliment or
Yeah.
since we have this, some will put a compliment in a negative wrapper as a receiver.
Yeah.
That means as a giver, I don't want my compliment to be like rewrapped as something negative.
Ah, so you feel almost it's better just
So
to not even do it.
yeah, so sometimes there's like a
Huh.
little fear in giving a compliment because I don't want it to get turned into
Oh.
something negative.
Well, so okay, so that's interesting. So same Saturday last weekend when I was a hot mess, even
hmm
though that nice kind man said I could never be. Um, the other,
He doesn't know
he
you.
doesn't know me.
I'm just kidding.
He does not know me at all. So the other thing I did is I went and got another booster shot. Okay. And I was 10 minutes late. So now you know how off I was because I'm always early, right? I'm 10 minutes late. And I know the pharmacist was judging me. I know she was. I know she was mad that I was 10 minutes late. Even though there was no one else there, blah, blah, blah. I felt so guilty. So when she came in to get me and bring me back to the room, she had on the coolest pair of Doc Marten shoes I'd ever seen. They looked like spats, you know, from like the 40s, right? And I was like, I love your shoes. She literally said nothing. She just looked at me, and I was being genuine. But I think her filter was dirty with, you're late, lady, and all you're trying to do is, you know, butter me up.
You're like, sucking up to me. Right, totally. That's the thing is, a lot of times people will use compliments to, quote, suck up to somebody else or try to get in good favor with somebody.
Yeah. I sensed that she was doing. So now this is where you and I pivot, because I was like, no, I love those shoes. Like, you know, I'm a shoe fanatic anyways.
Yeah.
But I said to her, where did you get those shoes? They're super cool. Like, I'm serious. They look like the 1940s spats. And then she looked at me and she said, oh my God. Then she just snapped into the reality of the situation. And she recognized that I wasn't trying to, like, how do you butter up somebody that's going to give you a shot anyway? What's the point?
Yeah, right.
But then she took it, but I had to go a second time. And I don't know if most people would, if they would just be like, oh.
They would just drop it at that point.
I wonder if it has something to do with assertiveness, your confidence in giving a compliment, or your willingness, maybe, not even confidence. That's really interesting.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love giving compliments, though. I feel that when a compliment is done sincerely, obviously, and truthfully, which is the only way a compliment should ever be given. But there is an opportunity to bring in a connection with somebody by doing that. You are coming in a little more, you know, intimacy is a scary thing for a lot of people, even if we're just on the fray of it. But I think it does give you an opportunity to become a little closer to someone for a microsecond and have a connection with someone for a microsecond. And that's why I love doing it. And I practice it all the time.
Yeah, so compliments definitely strengthen relationships. When done properly, they really strengthen relationships.
Yeah. And at a bare minimum, they create a human connection with a complete stranger even. So I think if they're done properly, you know, I don't know if my children would agree with this. I mean, from the time they were little, we could be in Target and they could be hanging on my arm and I could stop some complete stranger and compliment them. And both of my children would die 1,000 deaths. Mom, stop that. How embarrassing. You don't even know them.
I wonder if they do that if they compliment strangers in Target as adults now. You should ask him.
My daughter, my son, probably not. Probably a hard no. He's a live and let live kind of guy.
So the idea that, well, it's kind of interesting. The idea that giving compliments, well, it's nice for the other person, really serves you just as much, if not more, right? Because it increases your happiness, right? It strengthens a relationship, which makes you feel good. It's practicing gratitude, which is proven to again have like happy, dopamine, like, positive effects on you.
Yeah, for sure.
So it probably just like kind of like lowers stress, right? And then the thing that, if you want to like zoom it out a little bit, and it happened to you, was, to me, it makes like it's like a little ripple of positivity,
for sure,
in the universe, right? It's like one little raindrop of positivity that you're able to like put out there in the universe. And if everyone did that, you'd have a positivity rainstorm.
Ooh, I feel like that's a t-shirt. Write that down.
That's good.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it takes next to no energy whatsoever to authentically give someone a compliment. And compliments too. I think the other thing that I would just say on this topic of giving is that compliments can come in a variety of topics. They don't have to be someone's physical appearance. The two examples that we used are, well, the three. We talked about the pharmacist's shoes. We talked about my hair and the guy saying something nice despite it. And then we talked about your haircut. But so those
very hair related, hair focused episode.
Maybe this is like an 80s band episode. But anyway, I think that, but also other compliments that can be really strengthening are compliments of a person's character. When you a compliment can simply be you stating something that you already know about the person outside of actually stating it instead of just feeling it. Like, for example, one of my very best friends, Angie, is very calming. No matter what, she's very, very calming. And I just know that about her. I've known it about her since we were 14 years old. And yet, if I could say to her, I always know you're going to make me feel calm. I mean, what a nice compliment to give someone, even though I always knew it. That made her feel really good. I actually told her that not too long ago. So I think that compliments can come in a whole variety of depth. And we should pay attention to that. I think we can practice with something easy and then start going a little more if we want to try to work on that a little bit in giving.
Yeah, I agree. Those character call outs are really powerful.
Yeah.
Even in our work environments, like even just saying something to a colleague, like I appreciate how thorough you are with this work.
Totally.
Just that is a really powerful thing to say, calling out, and something that that they're particularly good at.
Yeah, and that they care about.
Detail or talking with people.
Are you talking about John right now? Because I feel like we're talking about John. I was thinking it as soon as you said that. Yeah, great conversation, though. I think there's a lot of different things that we can take away from this. But I really like your idea that compliments cause great positivity and they take next to no effort to do.
All right. So you know what we're going to do this week?
What?
Every day we're going to give someone a compliment.
Okay.
For the rest of the week.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal.
That seems more like a deal for me than for you.
Do you want an account?
You were going to do that anyway.
I know. Do you want an accountability buddy?
Yes.
Okay. I got you.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.